Hello, friends. Good see you. My name is Aslam Sheikh, your host for this evening. I'm a president of Swiss Education Foundation, an exclusive platform to promote Switzerland as a study destination. This is our eighth talk show and broadcasted live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Every alternate Thursday, we aim to bring in the eminent speaker to discuss the topic that will help you to explore this beautiful country, which has been the favorite destination for Bollywood shootings, family vacations, and definitely for education. This is a first of its kind program which will take a deeper dive into Switzerland and other important aspects related to the country like hospitality, Swiss lifestyle, culture, Swiss institutes, career opportunities, and more. Our today's topic is very unique, and we named it as Breaking the Stereotype on Hospitality and Tourism. And to discuss this exciting subject, we have with us Dr. Anthony Erb. So let's welcome our guest for today's show. Hello, Dr. Anthony Erb. Thank you very much for joining the show.
Hello, Mr. Aslam. We know each other for about 15 years. Lovely to see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Dr. Erb is an international dean and director of academics, sales, and marketing BHMS. Dr. Erb was educated in Switzerland and in Australia and has embarked to two major career paths in his business life. The first 25 years of his career were dedicated to the hotel management, when he advanced to a general manager level with Hyatt Australia, leading to corporate executive levels at Shangri-La Hotel and Resorts in Beijing and Hong Kong. In the last 20 years, he has held position of director UniQuest, the business division of the University of Queensland, as director special events World Expo 1988 in Brisbane, as director of Shangri-La Hotel Corporate Management and Training PR China. He is now the International Academic Dean of BHMS Switzerland and coordinates the International JB Academics and Vocational Program for this prestigious Swiss school. So, with this short introduction, friends, this is just a reminder that whichever platform you are using to view this program, please use the comment box to write any question you may have. Though we will go very fast in next 30 minutes to cover the question which I've already gathered through our students, parents, and through our guest speaker as well. So, before I officially introduce the program, let me introduce a beautiful country called Switzerland. Switzerland is a landlocked country of towering mountains, deep alpine lakes, grassy valley dotted with neat farms and small villages, and thriving cities that blend the old and the new. Switzerland is the nexus of diverse physical and cultural geography of Western Europe, renowned for both its natural beauty and its way of life. So, with this short introduction, let's begin our straight away first question. So, Dr. Erb, here in India, from Indian perspective, I'm just putting up this first question that many parents and even career counselors, we see, and they see the hospitality career option as a secondary choice. They often are encouraged that for the children to choose a primary career such as engineering, IT, medicine, or even law. So, what do you think? Why is this, and how can we change this perspective? Because we are trying our best. We did an event on Monday as well, wherein we tried to showcase the opportunities and growth prospects in the hospitality and tourism sector. But this is a very deep rooted thought process which most of the parents and career counselor follows. What do you got to say about this?
Well, we really have to start looking back into history. The hotel industry, especially in India, has developed over the last 30 years. Although there were good hotels for a long time, but as a business, as an industry, it's only developed over the last 30 years. But Indian students have gone abroad for the last 40, 50 years already. It's become a habit. It's become kind of a pathway to go and study engineering, studying IT, studying law. And I also believe that often parents basically see this as an opportunity to get a higher value, often for their daughter when it comes down to marriage. So it's become a habit. I think it is totally incorrect. And I want to tell you the reason why. I have met so many young people from India who have basically joined our master's program, our MBA programs. And when I ask them, why did you choose hospitality? Why did you choose the business leading into hospitality? They all told me basically that they've studied something, whatever it is, whether it's agriculture, whether it is engineering, because the parents wanted it. They followed the parents' wishes. And afterwards, they basically said, I want to do what I like to do, where I can travel, where I can get something which is interesting. And I just want to add in also my own son, Alex. He did hotel school because I was a hotelier. And it's just traditional. Your son must do the same thing. When he completed his study, he came to me and said, can I do now what I want to do? And he joined the bank. He's now the vice president of one of the largest global banks. And he's very, very successful as a banker. But he clearly said, I have learned my skills in the hotel school. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to work with teams. I learned how to work on 3 or 4 different projects at the same time. I learned how to deal with different cultures. And most important, I learned how to do things I don't like because they have to be done too. He actually officially credits his success to having done a hotel school, having done the internship, having been in a disciplined approach of education. And I think that's where we're now seeing major things changing. COVID has been a total change, and I think a lot of parents are now thinking different.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't agree with you more because most of the time, even when we talk to the parents and when we ask them that, okay, you want your kids to be engineer or doctor, but can you please tell us that what have you done in your life and what are you doing at present? That's completely mismatch. In their own career, they have changed the profession many a times.
I think one of the biggest issues is that we're still used to this one career thinking. Like our grandparents, they started off with a career and with a particular profession, and they died with that profession.
Yes.
Today, most people go through 2 to 3 different careers. And I think this is going to be even further so in the future. Second thing is, I also believe that a lot of young people simply have no idea what they want to do. They know what they like, they know what they enjoy, but they don't know where they're strong. And strength is not automatically where you're good or what you like. And I think most people today are very confused. Often they're very happy when the mother or the father says, I want you to do this, and they take away the decision. And I think that all is changing. And I believe COVID has put all of us, each individual, back to thinking. We were at home. We had to relook at our life. We had to look at our future. And suddenly things start to fall into place a bit more. I don't want to be a general manager of a big car company in America. I just want to have a good management position, a good income, to have a family. And we start to become a little bit more realistic. And I think this is fantastic for our industry. Our industry is so versatile, so broad, that we are getting a lot of parents who say, let's go there. A, there's always jobs. B, there's so many options you can sidetrack afterwards.
Absolutely. Actually, on this point, I just wanted to draw your attention to a second question, which is very much relevant to what you said. The students, when we talk about career thinking, or even for the parents, as a matter of fact, when we talk about career thinking, they're still not very relevant to young people. I mean, the young people, they think that career is more related to job, how much money I'm going to make. They don't necessarily think through the pathway to build a career for a life. So, what do you got to say about this, and what is your advice for these kids?
I say, look, I talk to so many young people and so many parents. And one of the most important and one of the key answers I get, but I want to earn money. And I think that is most probably something which has developed over the last 5, 10, 15 years, where you went to America, to Canada to study, you had a part-time job, And then you worked in 7-Eleven. You've been driving taxis. You've been doing not necessarily what you have studied. So this concept of after my study, I have to earn. And that brings me back down to that young people don't understand what a career is. Career development, career designs are becoming very important. I plan what I'm going to do today, tomorrow, and in 2 years and in 5 years' time. I build up my skills over the period of the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I know, like my son, he always liked finance. He always liked accounting. He liked mathematics. But I felt that he would be a good hotelier because I was a hotelier. He had those skills. And so then afterwards, he went into that business. The key thing which he discovered, whether you're in a bank, whether you work in a marketing office, whether you work in a consulting office, I need some basic skills. And that is communication skill, inside and outside. I need to be able to work with people I like and people I don't like. We call that a team. I need to do things which are below my level or above my level. And I have to sometimes stop and jump somewhere else. And so a career design has to be somehow taught, has to be given to young people. They don't understand that it's actually a stepping stone. Like to go back to a building. When you build the big buildings in India, they build the foundations. It takes you longer to build the foundation than the building. It's a strong foundation. And then you start putting brick by brick by brick on it. And at the end, you have a big building. And the career is the same. Your foundation is not your high school. Your foundation is not even the university. Your foundation is that first real job where you build on the education, on the soft skill you learned, and you build floor by floor. And right. A career basically has to, when you get 30, has to be able to get you into what I call a progression pathway. As we see in hotel, you move to the next level up. And for that, you have to prepare yourself.
Yeah. Right. So actually, my next question is exactly what you ended your answer with, is that if we understand the career, as you rightly mentioned, and then as you rightly advised to our listeners, that it's more of a process to follow, and it's okay to change the profession over the period of your lifetime, because that's not you want to die with. Uh, what's your advice, those who are listening to you, if you want to introduce you yourself as spent nearly 25 years in the industry as a professional, and then 25 years or close to 25 years in the academic world of hospitality and tourism. So if I ask you, how do you define the careers in hospitality, hotels, and tourism today?
I think the best way to say it is basically, once you have done your education, you go out and work. You will be assigned the first job. You may move to another department. You move to a third department. You actually have to experiment which areas your strengths are. And as I said before, don't ever think something you like, that's where your strengths are. You basically start looking at, where am I strong? You look at your weaknesses, and you don't see these weaknesses unless you work in a real type of operation. And once you know where your weaknesses are, that tells you where you shouldn't go. When you know where your strengths are, that tells you where you should go. I've done my hotel career different to most people at my generation. In my generation, you were a cook, then you became a chef, then you became a hotel manager. I have never cooked eggs. I don't know how to make a bed, but I managed hotels which had $200, $300, $400 million value. I managed 4,000, 5,000 staff. My skills were, my strengths were, I was multi-skilled. I can handle 5, 6 things at the same time. I can deal with people. But I cannot cook. I don't know how to make a cocktail. So Everyone has certain strengths. Some people are stronger in the vocational field, and that then tells them which direction they should go. But then the most important thing with a career, times shift. As you've seen with COVID, what worked before COVID is no longer working now. The way we employ people before COVID, we don't employ them the same way afterwards. These times will change again in the future. There can be financial crisis, there can be economic crisis, and therefore careers can shift. But at the end, we are there where our strengths are. I'm strong with people, working with people, and so I'm always in the people business. Some people are strong with their hands, so they'll be more in that area. But careers change, and you have to change with it. But it's a deliberate plan to decide, where am I really strong? Where is my weakness? And then experiment. And that's why, for example, in Switzerland, at BHMS, we have these 6 months internship. An internship is not there to earn money. Yes, you earn good money. An internship is there to see how it feels working 6 months with people you may like or may not like, in tasks which you absolutely hate or you like. And that's when you start seeing that maybe that's not the direction I want to go. Some people feel housekeeping may not be their field, so they'd rather be in the front with people. Some people feel comfortable in the back, and they go into marketing, they go into finance, they go into IT. That's what the Swiss concept, I think, what makes that so strong. You have a real internship. It's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job for 6 months, and you experiment. You give your best in every situation. You experiment. And then you know what you like, but most important, where you're actually strong at.
Absolutely. Very well explained, sir. Thank you very much for this very insightful answer. So, friends, just summarizing what Dr. Erb has shared, which is very important for you to follow in your career, that hospitality and hotel careers, or the education through this career, that allows you to acquire the education and test out the different areas within this industry, that whether you are meant for the vocational based experience jobs, or you are looking for more of a people based job, and based on that liking you take up your future career decision. And that's where Switzerland, according to Dr. Erb, makes a lot of sense, because it offers you an opportunity to combine your theoretical study with some practical work experience, and it's not a part-time job or odd jobs, but it's a full-time job. Thank you, Dr. Erb. I'm just moving to the next question, which is quite related to one of the examples which you just shared. You said that you, being a hotel graduate, you were managing these big corporates, these $1 million businesses, and 4,000, 5,000 staff. Uh, I would just wonder that, is it not similar to say that you are a kind of managing a business? And if you are doing the same thing, then what is the difference between hospitality management and business management course? Or is it we are saying that hospitality management is also a business management? What do you have to say about this?
I think that's an interesting question. I'm now basically telling people very openly, a restaurant is a business. A hotel is a business. Even a taxi company is a business. A wedding venue is a business first and foremost. If I manage the business well, I give a good product. It is a business. And clearly, what has changed in hospitality education over the years, today we start realizing, if I manage a department, if I manage a division, I need to know my accounting, I need to know my human resources, I need to know my marketing, I need to know my sales, I need to have the communication skills to interpret what I get or what I give out. And therefore, today, most Swiss schools, and especially BHMS, works very strongly in making business people. But we apply the theory, what you learn in the school, in practice at the internship. So when you actually go and work, for example, in a hotel or in a restaurant for an internship, it is not what you have learned in technical skills. It is how you can interpret the business aspect of what you have done back into the subject. So if I have marketing, how does your job relate? How does the experience relate into marketing, into human resources, into finance? And I think that the strength of Switzerland is literally, I study the theory. And the theory, to be honest, it's similar in all over the world. But I apply the theory into practice, and I get measured not by having works, but by relating the theory into practice. And this brings me then down why students who study in Switzerland are employable and get jobs all over the world. It's not because they're better or they're nicer, but because they are multi-skilled. They have done multiple jobs. They have worked in smaller places where you have to do more. They apply the multi-skilling into the theory, and they apply the theory into practice. That makes them employable. That brings me down to how hotels today employ. And I'm talking reality. I'm still very heavily involved in the Shangri-La Human Resource Department. Today, we're not looking at how many wine bottles you can separate or how many ways you can cut a potato. But I'm employing basically people with having a good education. That gives me stability. With having multiple skills. I can put you in this department, in that department, or I can put you wherever I need somebody. And then most importantly, I employ these people based on their, what I call soft skills.
Right.
Communication. If you have 80 students, 80 nationalities on a campus, of course you learn to communicate. Sometimes you use your hands. The interaction, projects, working with people, sitting with people you don't like, you get to know how to do that. The cultural differences. And that's why employers hire graduates. Not
Absolutely.
because they've been in school A or in school B, but because they are balanced. They know how to work. They know that sometimes the job doesn't end. You just can't go home at 6 o'clock. You finish when the job is finished. They know that they may have to jump 2 or 3 times into a different job in a day and they go back to the first job. That's why hospitality, hotel, tourism, education, and business link together. And that's why most of the graduates, once they have gone into the industry to work, within 4 or 5 years, more than 60% actually join business. They go into human resources, they go into marketing, they go into finance, some go into teaching, some join government. They are employable. Like my son is a vice president of a very big bank. And he earns in 1 month what I earn in a year. He earns good money. But he has earned that and learned that because he's done a hospitality school. And he openly admits with that.
Absolutely.
This is the strength of hospitality education. And this is the strength of Switzerland. The theory applied into practice and then related back to the theory for the second year.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'm really impressed the way you have described hospitality as compared to the very typical hospitality definition, which we usually get to hear. And that may be the reason why students or the career counselors or even the schools do not necessarily get always a right impression of this very multi facets industry and its right perspective. In fact, when we had the session this Monday, we had a very successful event, and we were talking about on the World Tourism Day. We were celebrating World Tourism Day, and we were talking about the development which is taking place in India, across India, and especially in the state of Maharashtra, where we are sitting in today. Our honorable member of parliament, Dr. Shrikant Shinde, he was present on the dais, and to answer one of my questions, he said very clearly that there are so many good tourist spots which we have identified, not been promoted, and we definitely see a huge opportunity for young graduates to join in the hospitality and tourism sector, because this is the largest employer in the world, and we really need young, energetic and creative minds to help the government to build up the tourist places so that we can generate more employment and more revenue for the government. And that's what exactly he's connected your points well. Well, I come back to the next point, and this would be my second last question before we conclude this session. Uh, I would like to connect with that the last 20 years you have spent in the academic world, and I'm sure that you must have met so many students and schools and alumni of across the world. I had an opportunity to work with you for last 15 years now, and I commit publicly that I've learned so much from you. In fact, we were just talking about marketing. I remember when you showed me the example of how to do marketing rather than just following the big theories of big books or big fat books which has been taught in the business schools. The simple theory which you taught me, that when we were sitting in the restaurant, and the service boy came uh, after the meal is over, he came to ask the bill, wherein you said that he should have asked her for the dessert. He would have sold us that we have got the best desserts available. Why don't you try that after the meal is over? But he didn't try to sell the dessert. He just came on to the bill. And that's, I think, is a most practical way of approaching the clients and asking the right question. And it's a very simplest way of learning the marketing, what is marketing is all about. So I'm very thankful to those experiences. But just connecting to the points, how do you see now the new trend in education for hospitality industries coming up?
I genuinely believe that most education institutions in India and even worldwide are basically soul searching at the moment. Basically, the key concept is employability. You have to basically make sure that their graduates are employable. The old employability from pre-COVID does no longer work. And that means they basically, you see the curriculum change, the business component comes in, and most probably you see less specialization, more generalization. You basically want people to be strong in all fields of what I call business, whether it's hospitality or tourism or any other business. And I think that will be the trend. You will also see this practical application of theory into practice, changing from it's just a job to get money to basically relating it to what I've learned. Like marketing, you just talked of marketing. If I'm doing marketing, I can't become a marketing manager unless I know how to sell. And if I don't know how to sell, how can I market a product? As simple as that. That application of the theory. The same thing with finance. There are finance managers who have graduated in finance, major universities. They have never done accounting. They've never done bookkeeping. Right. So basically, unless you know how the bookkeeping works, how can you do accounting? How do you understand the figures? And that's where hospitality is such a fantastic tool. There's always a job. There's always an opportunity. But most important, if you're serious to want to make a career in hospitality, believe me, it's a great career. Absolutely. I still walk in hotels and nearly cry. My blood is still boiling. I love the hotels because every day is different. Every job is different. There's never a day which is the same. I have to make so many decisions. Even in a minor position, I have to make decisions, which I can't do if I work in a big office. Absolutely. I have to deal with people, and I have to most importantly understand that if I don't do my job, the other guy can't do his job. So the whole process stops. So I can see how important I am in this whole cogwheel. The tourism, hospitality, education industry is going to move. It's going to go into multi-skilling, and hotels are hiring young people with a good education who know how to apply that education into practice. And that's where Switzerland, I think, is number one in the world. Absolutely. It's a real job. It's 6 months. It's tough. And I'll give you one last example. When I was in a hotel in Mumbai, in a restaurant, there were most probably about 20 guests and was probably 15 waiters. Many of them would have been hotel school interns. In Switzerland, for these guests, you would have one. maximum two.
Hmm.
That's how you learn to think, how you learn to organize, to plan ahead, to make sure I have enough coffee spoons, I have enough sugar there. That's where you learn to walk smart. You walk from the kitchen with a plate and go back to the kitchen with a plate, not empty. That is what companies are going to hire. There's these skills you pass on to the staff you manage, and this is how you get promoted.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Yes, thank you very much for this beautiful answer. And so practical. I mean, the way you explained it, I think that a lot of our students, parents, counselors who are listening to us would and easily would relate with these examples. So, just we are on to the time for the last question, Dr. Erb. After learning so many things from you about hospitality, about the trends and the career, we would like to know a little bit about your college. That how does BHMS teaches these things differently and distinctively, and how do you make sure that the students learn the future career skills for making a successful career out of your school?
Look, I think in Switzerland there are many, many good schools. I have to say the quality of all schools is good. At BHMS, we basically increasingly specialize in business. I'm clearly saying uh, business, a pathway to business is via hospitality. So we teach business, we teach the practical application, but most important, we build on the soft skills. The way you present, the way you communicate, the way you act, the way you behave, the way you handle difficult situations. And I think that's an area where we're very good at. We've been doing it for 93 years because we are part of the Benedict Group, which is 93 years in education.
Wow.
We have been doing it like this for many, many years, and it works purely and simply because A, we guarantee the Swiss internship. But I'm saying openly, the first job is going to be a tough job. You're going to be tired in the evening. You're going to be basically going to say, oh my God, why do I do this? But 5 years later, 2 years later, you're actually going to show somebody how to do that job. And if you've never done it yourself, how can you show somebody else how to do it efficiently? And that's the concept we're working on. I want to basically the employability of a person is the key, not the grade. Yes, they should have good grades. I'm not interested in grades. I want them to pass, but are they employable?
Right.
That is the key of education, employability. The rest is up to the individual. And most young people take it and they make fantastic careers. The amount of people which I see which are so successful, I'm really, really proud. Employability. An employer says, I want you because.
Hmm.
That's what
Absolutely.
BHM is all about.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Erb. I mean, it's a very innovative and very unique way of looking at the school. So, friends, we have learned from Dr. Erb a lot of things about the trends in hospitality and how BHMS is making difference in the lives of students and how they are creating a future leaders by making them more employable. Thank you, Dr. Erb, for joining us for this show. We really appreciate your time and insight, and we really enjoyed having this discussion on this particular topic.
Thank you, Mr. Aslam. And I'm hoping that Mr. Modi opens the door so I can come back to India.
Hopefully soon, sir. We're looking forward to having you here. Thank you, friends. Thank you for joining us who are listening us live. We had a fantastic show on breaking the stereotype on hospitality and tourism. If any of our listeners seek further information on study in Switzerland, please feel free to contact us on our helpline number. That's 88799 42001, or visit our website swisseducation.com. Our experienced counselors will be happy to assist you instantly. My name is Aslam Sheikh, President of Swiss Education Foundation, signing off with a promise to come back again on 14th October, that's next to next Thursday, sharp at 5 p.m., with another guest speaking on interesting educational topic. Until then, think Switzerland, think Swiss education.